Well, good morning, everybody. Oh, let's make sure that the volume is up. Of course, it's not. There we go. All right. Well, here we are again on a Thursday. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune. It's the 14th day of May 2020. So we're in a month of change, a day of change. So also a day of protection. Five is about change. It's about quintessence. It's about protection, the pentagram, safety. So we're thinking about those issues today. Changes on that front, maybe. I think that it may have something to do with the energy to really pay attention to what's going on now that things are starting to open up. We want to do that in baby steps so that we don't spike the virus numbers and all of that. But, you know, it's going to happen. So we just have to be prepared for that. Again, if you're someone like me that's vulnerable, you're going to want to continue to protect yourself going forward while this is going on, because you just don't know what the effect of this is going to be. Now, in areas where the virus isn't as strong, well, you might do fine. But in, so in the more rural areas, maybe, I don't know. It just depends. On the other hand, one person could come in, one COVID Mary could come in and upset the whole apple cart. So I don't know. We still have to be careful. I'm going to be wearing my masks and gloves out for the foreseeable future. So I don't really care what other people do. My husband's going to do the same. So that's really all I care about. So anyway, I thought I would look at the astrology a little bit differently today. I kind of like to now and then, and depending, because they don't move that much. But I wanted to look at the goddess planets today, or planetary bodies. We're talking about Vesta, Ceres, Pallas, and Juno. Juno right now is in retrograde, and has been for a while. We have some other retrograde planets, and I also want to talk about those. I think I may do those first. Let's talk about the retrograde first. Pluto is in retrograde right now, and so Pluto's about transformation. But when we talk about retrograde, I mean, we can talk about, Mercury is the one we're all familiar with, and that's where you have to not buy electronics. Any communication oriented things could go awry. Well, on the outer stuff, I think it's more about inner transformation versus outer transformation. And so what might take an external focus, about your environment or your life or what have you, when they go retrograde, it allows you to take a more inner focus. And so we've got some interesting planets that are going to let us do that. Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, and also Venus are in retrograde right now. Pallas is coming soon. Just in the next couple of days, and she's the goddess of reason and patterns and things like that. So, she would be associated with the air element, basically. But with Pluto, we're going to allow the transformation to happen within. We're going to rebuild and rethink our perceptions and our values and all of that. Saturn, we're going to restructure the foundations of our lives. We're going to slow things down and take a look inward at how we do things and how we relate to one another. Is all of that really working for us, or do we maybe need to take another idea, another path forward, maybe change perceptions a little bit. Jupiter is stationing retrograde, not quite there yet, maybe tomorrow. Interchange and reevaluation. Jupiter is very expansive, but what we want to do is we want to expand inside instead of externally. We want to have some inner expansion at work here. Venus is in retrograde. We're going to rethink balance and harmony and partnerships and what we value and love and where we feel connected and how we establish connections with people. How do we view all of that? And does any of that maybe need to change a little bit going forward? With the virus and how everybody's responding to it, people are responding to it in different ways. Maybe another person close to you, maybe their response is shocking you. Before making any changes, though, on that front, I would wait, because again, right now, people's behavior it's just not making sense. And so a lot of that is it's just a function of being in a very strange situation where we don't know what's going to happen. And so people are going to react instead of create, basically. They're not going to step back necessarily and assess. They're going to get scared and they're going to react. And so I know I know other people have. It's just part of what the process right now of becoming accustomed to this new normal that we're going to have for a while. Because I don't think we're going to be successful opening up the country willy-nilly, not without everybody agreeing to stay protected while we do it. I don't think it's going to turn out the way the people in the government think. So in any event, this time, so many planets in retrograde, it's really giving us a chance to rethink things and reevaluate our path forward and how we're going to do that together. So anyway, Vesta, the goddess of sacred sexuality and home and hearth and rebirth and regeneration, all of that, she's in Gemini right now, and so she's sort of a cauldron of information, sharing and multitasking and all of that, so we can, the energy is going to be there to do all of that today. But that's where the focus is. And, it's sort of with Juno in retrograde, also fourth house Libra. Juno's the goddess of partnership and marriage. In Libra, of course, Juno's going to want her partner to be sociable and charming and artistic and all of that. But with the fourth house as a focus here, it's home and hearth, and so it relates quite well to Vesta and how we're going to manage all of that today, how we're going to, and going forward really, how we're going to manage it, how we're going to interact in a partnership way with others. And what the focus is going to be, because basically for us, I can tell you that it's really about establishing boundaries for us, and whether it's at home or whether it's going out and about. We don't want going out and about to then contaminate home, right? So we take extra precautions up at our gate to make sure, and then with anything that we're bringing in, we take care of that in another location. Before ever bringing into, and we spray it down with alcohol solution before we ever bring anything into the house. So how we're connecting, my husband and I, in terms of partnership, is we're focused on preserving the boundaries of home and hearth. And that's realistically what I would say, the goddesses are doing right now. Ceres in Pisces, we're talking, she's the goddess of nurturing self and others. We're talking in Pisces, we're talking about doing that through some imagination, maybe how we support others' changes, maybe because obviously we're still physically distant from one another, and we're doing it maybe if we do get together with people in their homes, maybe we're doing so outside or whatever, and we're staying apart and we're wearing our masks and gloves and what have you, but we're still getting together and we're visiting and we're providing support and whatever, either emotional support or whatever, helping, do something, maybe mow the lawn for your grandmother or your parents or whatever, that you're doing something for them outside while keeping them safe, inside maybe. So, I just think that we can find other ways to do this, to nurture others right now. Ceres in Pisces is giving us that energy and that blessing to do that. Pallas, the goddess of reason again, and patterns and organization in the eighth house of Aquarius, healing is not only favored right now, but so is managing money. We're going to be looking at that, how all that's going. Unfortunately, a lot of people haven't gotten their stimulus money. We haven't. And so I don't know, but the problems that we're experiencing now, Pallas is going to allow us to see patterns and to recognize the ability, especially with Aquarius, to think outside the box. And so I think that going forward, our focus needs to be on preserving the boundaries of home and hearth, figuring out a way to nurture self and others through this, and looking for patterns and ways to think outside the box to make all of this a little more, palatable while we, for some people, for us, this is not a big deal. We just are a little unnerved when, people show up on our property unannounced and we tell them to go and they don't, or we tell them the FedEx guy to stop, or he doesn't. Those are the kinds of issues that we're dealing with. And so we ask ourselves, why are these people acting this way? So that's what we end up doing. And with Palace now, you're going to be able to answer those questions by maybe thinking a little bit outside the box. And by that I mean, when it's the whole, I talked about this last week about what Maya Angelou said to Oprah. Oprah's like me in that sometimes we try to give people too many chances. It's like make too many excuses for why somebody is acting the way they are. And Maya Angelou just told her, look, when people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. They're establishing the pattern right off the bat. And it's not that people can't have a bad day or be out of sorts, but you get a pretty good idea when something feels like an anomaly and when it's not. And so if you recognize a pattern right off the bat, then go with it. That's the truth. Use the inner voice right now. Let's see, what is it? Is there something to do with Venus? Venus square Neptune. Venus is in the 12th house in Gemini. Retrograde. Consider gratitude today, but also use intuition and keep an open mind. Avoid big decisions, particularly with respect to partnership, because right now partnerships can be stressed by the situation that's happening. So just, be careful there and don't overreact. Mars trine the south, the north node in sextile the south node. We're going to be aware of higher self-influences and the message that they bring. And that's the whole point. We can see ourselves as spirit, which is what we are. That's the truth of things, as the soul. Or we can see ourselves as the body, as the personality, as the ego, and react our way all over the place. Problem is, it's nothing positive really happens out of that. So the best we can do now is just allow spirit to inform our way forward, to move forward in shared purpose, and don't get in one another's way. Respect each other's space, and don't bother people who want to continue to observe the guidelines for all of this. We all have to make our own choices with that. If you choose not to, that's the choice you make. But, have a little respect for those that are choosing something else, and we'll do the same for you. It really is about mutual reciprocity right now, I think, particularly, and I think the goddess energies are telling us that. So I think we're going to go ahead then and move on then to the reading. If this is your first time here, welcome. I do a little astrology, and normally I don't do the goddesses this way, but I don't know. I got to thinking that realistically we have to move back into goddess presence in our lives. And so why don't we just check in with them and see what they have to say? And we'll do that. Lilith has been in the 9th house of, is it Pisces or is she 9th house Aries? 10th house Aries. So we're going to be looking within and developing a more balanced life path, because, Lilith is all about instinct and reaction, basically, and, seeing everybody with suspicion, because after all, the way she was treated, I don't blame her. So, no, she's the primal goddess, and she's our primal nature within. And and we have to find a balance there, don't we, between spirit and the primal nature within. So Lilith just needs a little... I wouldn't say that Lilith is completely villanelle on killing Eve, but, at the same time, there's a little bit of that. So anyway, we have to calm that lack of impulse control within right now. So anyway, let's go ahead and we'll take our first 3 cards and see what they have to say. And as always, I take the 13th card each time just for randomness sake. So let's go ahead and see what they are for today. Well, we have the Fool. We begin with undeveloped potential. And on this day and month of change and all of that, vis-a-vis our protection and safety and security and all of that, I don't know. We are in a 22 year, and we talk about the Fool with undeveloped potential. Well, so is with the 22 year. The 22 is the cosmic builder. It's a master number, and it's about a profound soul level change that's occurring right now. No matter what our circumstances are, perceptions need to change toward a sense of shared purpose and away from the nonsense of division and hate and the enmity that we're living with right now, caused by somebody who's simply manipulating others for his own nefarious purposes. So it's like somebody who, oh, you know what it's like. You know, this is it's just a really common. I don't know, maybe not, but it's like when you have a best friend who's interested in your husband, and so she starts trashing your husband and convincing you that he's sleeping around and he's doing all this and that, and then when the divorce happens, she goes for the husband. Well, see, you were manipulated out of your marriage is what happened. He wasn't doing anything. And you thought, and she so convinced you because she wanted him. Yeah, that's the type of crappy energy that's going on, and the crappy underlying lowbrow, low intelligence. You know, really just what? Yeah, that type of person is causing all of this. Is taking advantage of people's grievance and fear and any racism they might have, any sexism they might have, and they're just he's magnifying it. And so this is not a time for that. This is a time, if the pandemic shows us anything, it's a time that we come together in shared purpose and alignment, and we actually do something that works, and we do it together. And once you see that, people that are confused about that process and concerned, once you see that happen, it's self-reinforcing. You want to do it again because it felt good to have everybody come together and make something amazing happen. We step outside our comfort zones and we make something amazing happen together. That's what this time is. That's what the Fool is talking about. It's what the 5 energy for the month and the 5 energy for the day together that creates a 1 energy for new beginnings. Again, aligning with the Fool, with the cosmic builder and soul, a profound level of soul level change going on this year. Another card as profound. Your aces contain all of the aspects of the suit, all the qualities of the suit. In this case, it's the Ace of Swords, the suit of swords, and so we're talking the air element. And again, maybe perception, new perceptions changing. We're still at a 1 energy here for the reading. So I view the aces basically on the same level power-wise as the major arcana. And the major arcana, of course, is soul archetype. So, it's soul saying, okay, here's the overarching themes of life that you need to progress through while you're here and address, basically. So right now we're talking about a balance and reason and intellect and new perception. And the potential that can give us with the Fool here. Oh, well, we have the Moon. This has been happening a lot. At least 1. It's rare when I'm not getting a major card, but oftentimes I'm getting 2 in a reading. I mean, once in a while I'll get all 3 as majors. But how I like to look at that, I like to look at it as a yod. So we have either 1 that is the focal point, or maybe we'll have 2 that are we're looking at the foundation. Maybe we'll look at it from the standpoint of the major cards here, but we'll keep the Ace of Swords in the center as the focal point of new expression, okay? New understanding, new expression, new communication, new interaction, new levels of balance, reason, justice, fairness. So that's what we're going to be talking about here. Oh, one other thing. Let's see. Did I write this down? Oh, I did. Okay. Currently, I did this, I do the correspondences and astrological information as of noon every day. That's going to go up on the blog here while I watch this after I'm done doing the video. I always watch it, and when I'm watching it, I do my correspondences and astrological information for the day, and I post that up on the blog. And then after I publish this on YouTube, I'll do that. I'll do the same. I'll put that on the blog as well. Anyway, I do that for noon, and so there's a yacht in the sky at that time. Maybe there is right now as well. I don't know. I didn't check. But it's between Uranus, Juno, which is again in retrograde, and Ceres. So with Uranus, we're talking a little bit of rebellion. It's kind of like the Aquarian thinking outside the box and innovation and all of that. But Uranus sort of breaks things up and is rebellious, and the planet of unexpected stuff and all of that. So right now you're going to start to see partnerships, support, and nurturing may take varied forms because they have to. You might have to think outside the box with respect to that. So I just when I saw this, I thought, oh crap, I forgot to tell you about the yacht. So just be thinking about that with respect to home and hearth and partnership, and again, being willing to not take the bait and think outside the box and maybe express yourself a little bit differently. That's really what this is all about today. It's about how we express ourselves and what our understanding is and all of that. Now, so we'll start with the Ace of Swords. And we see a hand reaching out from the clouds, and the clouds are darker. So some deception was going on, or some lack of understanding, whichever, Sometimes it's innocent, sometimes it's by design, and we have both happening right now. So there's that to consider. Because when you have the federal government asking states to not really put out accurate virus counts, well, come on. Again, this is the time to see it for what it is. And this is a time where it unfortunately, at least in my opinion, how I see it, is that we're being attacked by our federal government. And that's how I see it. So we're under attack, not just by the virus, but by the federal government as well, and their response to it. And their response to us, because you have to ask yourself, why are they doing that? Why aren't they doing the right thing? Why aren't they helping the states? Why are they interfering with everything? Why are they sabotaging the outcome? Is that what they want? At this point, I don't think we can avoid thinking about that. And I think we need to think about it. What is it about him that's causing him to try to harm everybody? Because that's what it feels like to me. I don't know what it feels like to you. Maybe you haven't allowed yourself to go there yet, but I've been there for a while. And I can't figure out a way out of it. In other words, I can't add anything to the narrative that makes me reconsider what I'm thinking. And if I can't do that, if I can't go inward and intuition-wise, if I can't, as an empath, if I can't go in and psychically understand something, then evidently, in other words, if I can't find a greater meaning, something I'm missing, and I can't, okay? I'm there. So this is what I think is happening. So we have to protect ourselves. I mean, from both ends of the equation, not just the virus, but from the government's response to it, the federal government's response to it, and maybe, depending on the state you live in, the state government's response to it. I'm lucky. I live in Oregon, so, we're doing pretty well here, actually. Doesn't mean we'll continue, but right now we're doing pretty well, all things considered, compared to some other states. So I don't know. But here, we have to have new reason. We have to, and have that be predicated on information from spirit, not from ego. Ego says, I want to go to the beach. Ego says, I want to go in and have lunch. I want to go inside. I want to eat with a bunch of people. I want to go to a stadium. I want to watch a baseball game. I want to go to a theater. Well, sure, I want to do those things too, but I can't. I don't trust the situation yet. And until I do, I won't. It's just that simple. And I have a feeling a lot of other people are going to do the same. Even though the country opens up, not so many people will go. It's what I'm hoping will happen. I mean, I don't hope that for the businesses, but I hope that it sends a message that we're all thinking a little bit differently than what the federal government is thinking, because we have to. And we've picked up on that. So we're doing that. But you see, for victory to be necessary or to happen at all, what's necessary is that we're in alignment with one another. You can see the sword is straight up and down. New perception, new reason, new understanding. That's really what this is about. So how do we achieve that new understanding? Well, I'm going to switch the Fool and the Moon. I showed you that, didn't I? Did I say I had the Moon? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I just put it down without telling you. Oh no. I'm sorry. Well, anyway, the Moon, the 19th or the 18th card of the major arcana, 9 energy, endings and completion. I think though we're going to start with it, and instead of the Fool, because I think that the reason for the new perception is we've been dealing with illusion, and we need to have a new path forward. So we're going to do this in order, and as well, even though we're going to have the Ace of Swords be the significator and the focal point of the reading. We're going to begin with deception, balancing the shadow side of self with spirit, allowing for rebirth and renewal, taking the middle path, the balanced path. We see the Moon looking down, unhappy at the 2 dogs barking at her. She doesn't like that. But the dark and light dogs signify the polarity within, the polarity without, the interaction we have with other people and how balanced that is. But in order to have a balanced action with others, we have to be balanced within. And so I know it's always tempting to look without in terms of finding solutions and placing blame and all that stuff. And sure, sometimes it's true. But all too often we participate in that whole experience. And so we don't ever want to see our own, what we offer to the situation and what our own behavior's been, our own choices or whatever. And so I just always urge everybody, when you're looking at the tarot, it's not always what you're going to encounter in the day externally, but what you're going to encounter within. And whatever struggle you're going to have, how much resistance you offer to whatever experience you're having. Are you going to drop resistance? Are you going to be more allowing? Or are you going to, as I say to my husband, nut right up and, and get into it with somebody when you could just sort of stand back and observe? And I think what the energies are saying is, in order for restructuring to happen, we can't be all reactive. We have to take a step back and be more dispassionate in our observations and find a way that's a little more balanced in looking at things. And then once that happens, clarity seems to just automatically show up, and then you can make the decision you need to make. But when the heat of the moment, making decisions typically isn't wise. I mean, sometimes you have to, but it doesn't always turn out the way we want it to, does it? It could be shaped a little bit better had you waited a little bit. And so here we have the 2 dogs barking. We see the lobster coming out of the pool. Lobster denotes is a typical theme in tarot that denotes rebirth, regeneration. It sheds its skin, essentially. And so it's rebirthing itself all the time. Every time it does that, it's new. And so we can do the same thing. If you think the skin as the face that we present to the world, the ego, the personality, it's the sum total of our reactions, basically. It's that maybe not informed by spirit, but at the same time, maybe it is. I mean, hopefully it is. But all too often we don't recognize spirit as something that's inhabiting us right now. We think it's something we work our way back to. And in fact, it's not. The bodies wouldn't exist. The world wouldn't exist if soul didn't need something tangible to go into, to then explore what tangible life is all about. But here, going through the two towers there, another familiar theme. The idea is to find a balance here between truth and illusion, between the lies we tell ourselves and the reality that actually is. the separation and division that are being manufactured between us, that are being fostered and being catalyzed between us. It's not that that those kinds of differences weren't felt in the past. It's just that when you have somebody cheerleading it on and winding up the crowd and ratcheting up the energy and the hate and all of that, that it's magnified in a way that was not there to begin with. But it's stoking the fires of this sort of experience and choice that, is not going to serve us going forward, certainly not during the pandemic, especially, but just in general, it's not going to, and the problem with not the problem, but the blessing of a pandemic is that the restructuring of society that it does, while it may seem harsh on the surface, going forward, sometimes better outcomes are created. From this, the government may finally understand, and voters may finally understand the necessity for universal health care. Okay? How we do that now is not going to be useful going forward. So as we figure out, the path forward is, and you can see it's a little windy there. So it's not going to be, we're not going to all be on the same path going in the same direction all at once. No, this is going to take a little bit, but we're going to get there. You see it winding up into the mountains there. And it's bending toward the left, my left. And so I would say, it's bending toward the goddess. It's bending toward the receptive side of self. It's bending toward the side that is magnetic and welcoming and enveloping. So you can see the place we're headed, the energetic place we're headed. It's one of harmony and balance. Now, so let's start this in order because we're going to end with a Fool. So we have some deception, either self-deception or deception by others, that are keeping us apart, having us renegotiate our relationships with others and the polarity we feel both inside and out, figuring out what's real and what isn't. So that enters some truth and balance, and the suggestion that spirit ought to be lighting our way, given that there's so much deception and manipulation going on with the dark cloud there. So some truth comes in, and we understand what we need to do now, and we're ready to take that leap of faith with the Fool. Knapsack over our shoulder, a white rose in our left hand, a receptive hand, our dog at our side. We're ready to take that leap of faith into the unknown, secure in the knowledge that spirit is guiding our path. As card 0, we're talking wholeness and unity. We begin in wholeness and unity, but what's the wholeness and what's the unity? It's the unity of self, and it's self in others. If you look at everything in terms of a circle and consider unity as a circle, as the expression of it, we're all contained within that circle. It's not little individual circles. It's all one big circle. And instead of seeing the other, what you're seeing in your own reality, because we each manifest our own reality, so everybody in it is our own creation, our own expression. Well, who is that? That's just the other side of self playing out something for us that we decided before ever coming in to form. And so whether it's just our own other side of self doing that, or it's the greater aspect of the creator that we all are, little pieces of that agreeing to play parts in our life as our soul group. Now, whether that's, Course in Miracles might suggest, well, that's just you. There's only you in your reality, and everybody else you see is just you in those other forms. And you're creating the experiences that you want to have, which should suggest to you that you have a whole lot more control over your life than you realize. At least the perception of it. And so maybe you've agreed to participate in someone else's experience, and they've agreed to, participate in yours. But make no mistake about it, with the full presence of the Fool, we have the ability to remake all of that and reshape all of that where we want it to go. Now, I will tell you that life bends towards survival. So, and in that, it bends towards spirit. So the shift is heading in that direction where people are awakening. Sometimes it takes bad things like this to happen to give people pause. There's been a lot of stuff in the chart the last few months where we're taking a hard look at, and with planets in retrograde, because we started the year out this way with a whole bunch of planets in retrograde. Then they all sort of, went away for a while, and now they're back. But the bottom line is that it gives us a time to look inward and rethink our perceptions and our values and how we interact with one another and what we want all that to look like going forward. Things are likely going to change in ways that we can't see yet. And so the only way that we get through that is to drop the resistance to one another and to help everybody make it through it. And then, if we have a change in government in November, if that happens, which I believe that it will, but when that happens, we should start to see some of this reevaluation that we're doing. We should start to see some of that maybe manifest a little bit into something tangible. So let's take a quick look at the Elder Futhark rune and see what it has to say. Well, it's Ingus, 22nd rune. Is it 22nd rune? Yeah, of the Elder Futhark. So soul, profound change. It's the seed, sudden expansion of energy, sudden growth, sudden development, really representative of the Fool and undeveloped potential. So that's going to align well there. And we'll see what the Geomancy rune has to say. I am going to do a thing on Foundations and Magic about that. I've talked about that. I may do that this weekend, but I've got bees coming on Saturday morning. Yay, my bees are coming. And so I'm going to have to deal with that. Well, let's see. What do we have here? Do we have Acquisitio? Oh, we do. Yep. Okay. We have gain. Where's my little... Here we go. Oh, one thing about, well, here's Acquisitio. Acquisitio is about gain. Omissio is about loss. That's its complement or opposite. So we talk about the circle. We're talking about one concept, and with gain and loss as its components. And so here we have Acquisitio. So gain, we gain by coming back into balance with one another and embracing our undeveloped potential together. But one last thing here before we close about Ingus. What it is, here's your rune down below there, little diamond. It can also be written as two X's on top of one another, like a DNA strand. So it's our genetic inheritance. But what this is, either way that you write it, you're looking at, if you explode it out, you're looking at Kenaz in all directions. If you do it the other way, you're also doing it again in all directions. But the light of spirit coming inward with the diamond expression and going outward with the DNA type, the 2X expression of it. But it's still Kenaz, the torch, or the light of spirit, informing everything. And so that's, again, during this time of ascension, during this time of awakening, where we're awakening to the soul within and making the understanding that that's actually the driving energy in the body is the soul. Without it, the body has no reason to exist and wouldn't. Really, it's the only reason the bodies exist is for the soul to come in and do things. So if we start to understand and make that shift in perception that that's where we are, then I suspect for many people, you're going to see an instant change in them. where once they understand the power that they truly have to manifest something positive in their lives, because it's coming from soul, it's coming from spirit instead of ego, they do it without stepping all over other people. They do it by elevating other people, because they know that when they do that, they elevate themselves. It's called being service to self as opposed to service to others. So I don't know. Well, listen, that's it for today and also for the rest of the week. I will be back on Monday, so I hope you come back. I hope you click subscribe. I really do, and share this time with us. And as we explore tarot and astrology and runes and how they can enhance our lives or inform our lives, whichever, or both. And check out the blog over at Stepping Aside it's called Stepping Aside. It's at imsteppingaside.com. There's a link to it below the video. A bunch of other links as well. There's also a recipe for hand sanitizer using aloe gel and alcohol if you still have alcohol. And you can make your own hand sanitizer. There's also a bleach solution there if you need that. And so just lots of stuff. Check out below, and lots of links and everything to follow me at, and there's some affiliate links as well. And if you click on any, just know if you buy anything, I make a little small commission off the sale, and just to help defray blog costs is all it's doing. So it's not actually income. So even though technically it's income, it all goes back to that. So anyway. I guess just stay as safe as possible, and you'll do the same for others in the process. So check out my work over on Medium. I cross post over there, and sometimes I just post stuff. I did not do anything last night like I thought I would, but I will do something this week there that's just for them. And also check out the Patreon page. That is a paid site, so you'll have to sign up for a tier if you want to see everything. But a lot of stuff I'll post this over there, and I post it to public. So in any event, I guess that's it. Have a good weekend, and come back Monday. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.